Now to the war in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin accusing Ukraine of terrorist activities now after those 8 drones exploded in and around Moscow, with explosions just 3 miles from Putin's country home.
Russia says it reserves the right to respond in the toughest possible way. Today, White House spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. does not support the strikes in Russia.
We have been very clear with the Ukrainians. Privately, we've certainly been clear publicly that we do not support attacks inside Russia. And we do not enable and we do not encourage attacks inside Russia. We certainly don't want to see attacks inside Russia that are being propagated, that are being conducted using U.S. supplied equipment.
And ABC News foreign correspondent Soufi Burridge joins us now from Kharkiv, Ukraine, along with ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. So, Tom, you know, Russia says they're going to respond in the toughest possible way. Given what Ukraine looks like and what they've been enduring, what could that mean?
I think it's a guessing game, Terry. I mean, the best guess is probably that Russia is going to launch another wave of drones, lethal drones and missiles. There are reports from the Ukrainian officials that there are warships, Russian warships in the Black Sea. That's a bit of an ominous warning that missile attacks could be forthcoming. But I think the Ukrainians are resigned to waves of drone and missile attacks continuing, irrespective of whether that drone attack on Moscow had happened or not. Most Ukrainians right now are focused on their military trying to recapture more of their territory. And, you know, at the moment, the Ukrainian military seems to be intent on taking the fight inside Russia, some of the war inside Russia. And I think that's part of what this kind of broader picture tells us.
So, Mick, what's Ukraine's strategy here?
So, Kara, I think it's really a very practical thing for them to do. I understand, of course, why the United States doesn't want to promote this. We don't want to see a war between the U.S. and Russia, 2 nuclear superpowers. But it's very important for the Ukrainians that they don't allow an already overwhelming enemy to have a safe haven right next to them. So for practical purposes, they need to deplete the command and control centers, the logistical supply hubs, the bulk fuel. Those kind of targets are what feeds the invasion into their country. So this is a very practical thing for the Ukrainians. And I'd also say it's very symbolic because it shows Russia that they can't start a war and then be immune from it in their own territory. So I think it sends 2 messages from the Ukrainians.
And Tom, we've been hearing now for a long time about the expected Ukrainian counteroffensive. It seems almost as if it's been delayed, perhaps for lack of ammunition. There was complaint at one point that they weren't getting sufficient ammunition. What are you hearing? I know they aren't going to tell you the absolute details, but what's your sense of this long-anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive?
Yeah, I wish I had the magic answer, Terry. We're all sort of playing that guessing game. We have been for weeks, if not months. I think, I think you nod to it partly there. I think the Ukrainians have, to some extent, been waiting for more military equipment to get in. There are all kinds of rumours swirling around, nothing confirmed. You know, the US has now green-lighted the idea that F-16s could get to Ukraine. You know, some people are suggesting, could some of those F-16s get here quicker than we currently are led to believe? And then could that be part of the counter-offensive? I think also the Ukrainians are not in any rush right now. I think what we've had in the last week or so is that we've had very senior officials, including the overall commander of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, General Zaluzhny, saying, we're ready to go now. We're ready to take back what is ours, was the way he put it. But I think now it's a kind of psychological game. They're keeping the Russians waiting. They're upping their attacks in terms of artillery along the front lines. They're upping their missile strikes deep behind the Russian lines, as Mick was pointing out there, to hit Russian assets, to debilitate the Russian military more generally, make them weaker. And I think they're going to wait and they're going to pick their moment and they're going to choose the places where they see weaknesses in the defences of the Russians, and that's when they'll move. And they might not move, potentially, for weeks.
All right, Tom, Mick, thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.